Alright, hey everyone. This is just a little car top review from the hood of my car out at the range, comparing three really popular concealed carry guns. You got the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield, the Glock 43, and the new guy on the block, the Sig P365. This one has been quite a unicorn over the last few months and still is relatively hard to get. But we got one, and everybody wants to know, obviously, how it compares to the existing products out there. As you know, these two guns, the Glock 43 and the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield, have been phenomenal carry guns. They've done extremely well on the market. They've sold like crazy, and they're both really, really good guns. I love both of them, to be honest. This was the first one I started carrying, not my very first carry gun, but first single stack 9, and I loved it. Still love it. It's an awesome gun. Only modifications I've done to it, I have changed out the sights for the XS big dot night sights, and love those sights. Those are pretty sweet. And I've added some Talon grips to it as well. On the Glock 43, haven't really done anything yet to this one. When I bought it, it already had the night sights on it. I guess I did change out, customized the back plate there, put our logo on it, because it looks pretty damn sweet now. But already had the night sights on it. I intend to put Talon grips on, but for some reason I just haven't got around to it yet. Anyway, awesome gun. I love this gun as well. Between these two, I kind of alternate back and forth on carrying them, to be honest. They both shoot like a dream. Awesome carry. They both conceal really well. You know, similar size, shape, everything, and they're both fantastic guns. I love them both. And now the Sig P365 comes onto the market, and everybody's touting it as a game changer. It's the Glock killer, the Shield killer, and you know, honestly, it might actually be. I know there have been some issues with it when it first came out, and apparently there's still a few issues out there with different guns out on the market currently. I haven't had any problems with mine yet. I only have about 150 or so rounds through it so far, so not a huge high round count, but for me so far it's been absolutely flawless. Okay, so size comparison. Put these side by side by side. So in the height comparison there, you can see the Shield does stick up a little bit higher than the other two. It's got a longer grip. The P365 in the center there is almost directly flush with the Glock 43. Width-wise, they're all very, very similar, all right within that sub 1 inch. God, they're so close. To be honest, dimension-wise, these are all so close. It's really, I mean, hard to say one's better than the other. Now, if we lay on top of each other, see if we can get a good picture there. Okay, from back to front, you can see the P365 is just a tiny bit shorter than the Glock 43. There as well. Just a tad bit shorter, but not a lot. And width-wise, they're almost identical. You can see right across the top of the slide there, very close, very similar size. Yeah, really similar size gun. The P365, a little bit shorter length because it's got a slightly shorter barrel. And then, it's hard to see, but the grip, obviously Glock has its unique grip angle, so it sticks out just a little bit further behind the 365 there. But size-wise, the things are pretty damn close. You can see how it fits in my hand. That's a Glock 43. And the 365. I will tell you, feel-wise, this has a shorter or smaller circumference around the grip. and it's narrower. And you can see kind of the sidewalls there and the back. There's not a lot of plastic, you know, extra around that magazine. It's pretty tight tolerances there. So what that means is in your hands, I mean, your hand just kind of wraps it up. Now, if you had really big hands, that might feel a little too small. I don't have really big hands. I'm a 5'10", 170-pound guy, and I don't know, fairly average, maybe even slightly small hands. But I love that grip. It just feels great. And in comparison to Glock 43, if you like the way Glock grips feel, then you're going to love this, as you know, because it keeps the same kind of dimensions and angles that Glock is famous for. So you can see the dimensions around the magazine there. It does have more plastic behind it, and that hump that kind of fills in the palm of your hand there. You know, this isn't an uncomfortable grip for me either. I really liked the Glock 43 and its grip, but yeah, getting your hands on the Sig is just slightly different. That smaller grip circumference really allows you to get in and gain huge purchase on it. So now the Smith & Wesson Shield, it has a longer or wider grip, I should say. I mean, from this edge to this edge is longer than the other two. Again, not an uncomfortable grip. I really like this one as well. But you just feel like you're able to wrap your hand more around the 365 grip than this one, in my experience. Also tight tolerances on the sides around the magazine, but more plastic behind it. So again, you've just got a wider grip, larger circumference going all the way around. As far as controls go, all essentially basically the same in terms of, obviously the magazine release is in the same spot for all of them. The 365 mag release, that triangle there, has a pretty good feel to it. Just sticks out a little bit further than the other two in the rear. You'll notice the edge back here on the rear of it. Yeah, it's really easy to engage, really easy to push in. Just a slightly different feel than the other two. Both Glock and the Shield, you know, they don't stick out in the rear of the magazine release there. It's more towards the front. So your thumb's able to get, you know, good purchase there. Same on the Shield. So, you know, it's almost flush towards the back and then protrudes in the front. All three of them are easy to engage, simple to use, just a slightly different shape and feel, and you've got the protrusion in the back as opposed to solely in the front like on the other two. Takedown levers on the Shield and the P365, very similar idea. Same spot, the slide lock, same spot on all three of them, and all very intuitive. No safety on the Glock or the 365. The Shield does have a thumb safety on it, but there are models of the Shield obviously that do not have that. Mine just happens to. Controls, all very similar to any other striker-fired handgun that you've fired in the past. Takedown on all three of them is pretty simple. The big advantage here on the 365 is you do not have to pull the trigger to take the gun down. Glock, that would be a nice feature to have. The Glock takedown, as you know, a little bit more of a pain in the ass because you have to engage that release there and pull it down while you're retracting the slide slightly, and then pull the trigger, and then you can take the slide off. It's not hard, just a little bit more of a pain in the ass than the other two that both utilize a lever that you just take down. Now, talking about the trigger. All three of them have pretty decent triggers right out of the box. The Shield, there's the trigger pull, and the reset. Not a bad trigger. It's not a great trigger, it's just not a bad trigger. The hinge on the Shield is right there in the middle of the trigger, so that actually gives it a little bit more of a sloppy. I'm not sure sloppy is the right word, but it makes it feel like it has more take-up than it actually does, because you're disengaging the trigger safety there, as opposed to, you know, a lever in the center of the trigger like the Glock. It's not a bad trigger, it's not an awesome trigger. And of the three, I'll be honest, I think it's my least favorite trigger of the three. Again, not bad, just not great. Now the Glock 43 trigger, very standard Glock trigger. It's got the blade safety in the center of the trigger. And so, tiny take up there, you really don't feel it, but that disengages that safety. Then a bit of take up, and there's the break and the reset. So, again, the Glock trigger is not bad. It's not awesome, but it's not bad. I'd say, well, I don't know. I said the Shield was my least favorite. I don't hate it, and I don't hate this one. Both of them are about the same in terms of awesomeness, in my opinion. I would rank this one slightly better just because it's not hinged trigger in the middle. But both of them are fine. They're just not stellar. Nothing you'd like build a monument to or anything. The 365 trigger straight out of the box. You'll notice there's no trigger safety on this one, at least no external safety. It's not hinged, it's not bladed, so that gives it a different feel. So a little bit of take up there, and then it's a pretty crisp wall and a crisp break. And a good reset. Yeah. There you go. So of the three, this is by far my favorite. And while the other two are okay triggers, I mean, fine, they're not bad, they're just not awesome. This one is verging on awesome. Now, it's not awesome in the sense of like some of your, I don't know, the competition 1911 style super lightweight triggers, but it's not intended to be that. But for a straight out of the box concealed carry gun, it's an awesome trigger. I will say that. With that caveat, for a concealed carry gun right out of the box, this is a great trigger, and out of these three, it's by far my favorite. It just has a really good feel. So, good job, Sig. I think you nailed it on that one. Anyway, all three are awesome guns. Now, I mean, I've loved all three. I've carried all three. I carried that one for a couple years, still do. Carried that one, the Glock, after that, and loved it. And now the 365 is working its way into my daily carry. Still running the rounds through to make sure the reliability's there, because, you know, people have had some issues with these, but so far mine is working great for me, and yeah, it's fantastic. Now, as far as ergonomics and everything goes, I think it's more personal preference than anything else. All of them are good ergonomics. All of them feel good. They all look and feel, fit and finish is great. Now here's where the game changer lies, of course, is magazine capacity and overall capacity. That's a 6-round magazine, standard, 7-round magazine, and 10-round magazine. That's the standard, regular. You can obviously get +2s and +2s and +2s. So, a best case scenario, this is an 8-round gun, or 9 with 1 in the chamber. Best case scenario, this is a 9-round gun with 1 in the chamber. Standard case scenario, with the regular magazines that you can buy any day of the week with this gun, it's a 13-round gun. That's 4 more rounds than the other two, and best case scenario, and geez, like 6 more rounds than the standard case scenario on these others. So that, in my opinion, is why the 365 is the game changer, because being able to put 13 rounds in that size is phenomenal. I mean, look at that. It's tiny. It's slightly smaller than these other two guns, similar size, but 13 rounds. This only has 6 plus 1, so 7 total, 13 total. I don't know about you, but if I can carry 13 rounds on me in the same size package, I will carry 13 rounds in the same size package every day. So that is the game changer. Now, I'm really, really excited to see what these other two companies do in response. I want to see what Glock comes out with to compete directly against the 365. I want to see what Smith & Wesson does to get a 13-round gun in this size. I want to see what Taurus does, and HK and Ruger and all the other companies. That, in my opinion, is why this could legitimately be called a game-changing gun. Simply because it has changed the game in terms of size and capacity. 13 rounds, whew, that does change the game. And the other two companies that we've got here are going to have to change their game in order to address that. Now, cost-wise, the other two guns have this one beat slightly. As of this recording, these are still hard to get, and they're selling in the $550 to $600 range most of the time, if you can find one at all. I've seen some aftermarkets or private market going for $700 and even $800, which is frankly kind of ridiculous. But I think once this catches up and there's not the shortage that we're seeing right now, this will probably fall around $500 to $520 maybe, and it's standard retail pricing. These other two have been around for a lot longer. The Glock you can find pretty regularly in the $450 range, and the Shield you can find that pretty regularly from $300 to $350. So price-wise, this one's got it beat by a long ways, followed by Glock and the P365. And then you've got some that I don't have here today, but like the Ruger EC9S for $250 has all of these beat hands down in terms of price and value. That's also a really good gun, especially for $250. And you've got some Taurus products out there that are, that price as well, and Caltech that are low 200s. But for the, I would call these higher end mid-tier guns, they're great. And the only reason I think that Glock and Smith & Wesson at the moment might beat out the Sig is price, but the Glock definitely not, because why not pay 50 to 100 bucks more to get the round out of the 365? The Shield, I could see it beating the Sig based purely on price. If you're on a fixed budget, that's a good deal. 300 bucks for that is a fantastic deal. I'd do that all day long. It's a fantastic gun, and at $300, it's a really good value. That's the only reason this one would beat the 365 in my opinion. Otherwise, if you've got the money, got $500 to $550, and you're looking to get a really good carry gun, and these are your three options, this is by far the winner, purely because 13 rounds on board. Anyway, we're starting to get long here, so we'll wrap that up and do a little bit of shooting on these. And yeah, if you like this video, subscribe. If you hate this video, well, leave a nasty comment or just watch something else. Hell, don't waste your life watching YouTube videos that you think suck. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.